Picture the monster shark from Hollywood blockbusters, an 80 to 100-foot behemoth terrorizing modern oceans with the bulk of a bloated great white. Popular culture has painted Megalodon as the ultimate marine nightmare, a direct ancestor of today's great whites, scaled up to impossible proportions. But recent anatomical reconstructions reveal a startling truth. Most large individuals likely measured around 45 to 60 feet, with typical adults closer to 35 feet in length. So how big and how different was Megalodon really? The answer requires dismantling myths, one by one, using scientific evidence to reveal the real predator behind the legend. Each misconception we'll examine follows the same pattern, a widely accepted belief followed by research that completely rewrites our understanding. The biggest problem with Megalodon isn't just Hollywood exaggeration, it's how these myths have shaped decades of scientific assumptions that are only now being corrected. The first major misconception centers on Megalodon's supposed identity as simply a giant great white shark. This myth has dominated popular culture for decades, appearing in documentaries, films, and museum displays worldwide. The reality completely contradicts this narrative. Megalodon belongs to the extinct Ottodontidae family, classified under the genus Ottodus, while great white sharks sit firmly in the Lamnidae family. These represent entirely separate evolutionary lineages that diverged millions of years before Megalodon appeared in the fossil record. The resemblance of teeth is convergent evolution. Similar function, not lineage. Both species independently developed serrated triangular teeth for slicing marine mammal flesh. But closer examination reveals finer serrations and different root morphology in ottodontids compared to modern great whites. Think of how dolphins and ichthyosaurs both evolved similar streamlined body shapes for swimming, despite being completely unrelated. One a mammal, the other an extinct marine reptile. Similar environmental pressures produce comparable solutions in different lineages. This taxonomic revelation sent shockwaves through paleontology circles because it meant rewriting fundamental assumptions about shark evolution. For over a century, scientists had constructed an evolutionary narrative showing gradual size reduction from massive ancient predator to smaller modern counterpart. The discovery that dental similarities represented independent evolutionary experiments rather than shared ancestry forced researchers to question everything they thought they understood about ancient shark development. The Ottodontidae lineage emerged from different ancestral stock than modern great whites, following separate developmental pathways that occasionally produced similar features. Research shows how dental serration evolved independently in both lineages, with different shark families developing comparable predatory strategies millions of years apart. The convergent evolution occurred because both lineages faced similar ecological pressures requiring efficient processing of large marine mammals. This polyphyletic origin means different mega-tooth sharks occupied similar ecological roles at different times rather than following a linear evolutionary path from ancient giant to modern predator. The family tree mistake was just the beginning of widespread misconceptions about this prehistoric predator. But lineage represents only part of the story. Size and body shape are where popular culture really goes off track, and the evidence for these corrections sits in an unexpected place. In a Belgian museum sits fossil specimen IRSMB P9893, a vertebral column that single-handedly destroyed the myth of the 100-foot movie monster and forced scientists to completely rethink this predator's true dimensions. Popular culture depicts Megalodon as a bloated, slow-moving behemoth stretching over 100 feet in length, essentially a great white shark scaled up to impossible proportions. The reality reveals a more modest but far more fascinating predator. Modal length estimates from broad-tooth datasets suggest around 10.5 meters, 34 feet as an ecological average, while more recent 3D vertebral reconstructions place typical adults between 13 to 16 meters, 45, 52 feet. Some methodologies yield higher maximum estimates, but the scientific consensus emphasizes uncertainty rather than sensational extremes. This Belgian specimen represented something unprecedented, a nearly complete vertebral series from a single Megalodon individual that became the centerpiece of modern paleontology's most significant breakthrough. Previous reconstructions relied heavily on isolated teeth and fragmentary remains, but this fossil provided the skeletal framework scientists needed to understand Megalodon's true dimensions and body plan. The 2022 3D reconstruction technology revealed that extreme size estimates ranging up to 30 meters were based on flawed assumptions about Megalodon's body proportions. Traditional methods assumed Megalodon shared identical body ratios with great white sharks, scaling up tooth size to predict total length. This approach ignored fundamental anatomical differences between extinct and modern species, creating the inflated estimates that dominated popular imagination. CT-based vertebral measurements and cross-species scaling provided direct evidence of body length rather than extrapolated guesses based on dental remains. The advanced imaging techniques allowed researchers to examine vertebral spacing, neural arch development, and centrum proportions with unprecedented precision. These measurements pushed maximum estimates toward more realistic ranges while revealing something unexpected about Megalodon's anatomy. The largest teeth exceed 180 millimeters over 7 inches in slant height, demonstrating extreme bite anatomy that made this predator devastatingly powerful even without reaching mythical proportions. But the Belgian specimen contained clues not just about size, it revealed that Megalodon's body shape contradicted every assumption scientists had made about how this ancient predator was built. Vertebral analysis revealed proportions that challenged every assumption about Megalodon's anatomy, pointing toward a streamlined predator built for efficiency rather than intimidation. Every movie depicts Megalodon as a bloated, bulky monster, but cutting-edge analysis of placoid scales and swimming mechanics reveals a completely different creature, one built for speed and efficiency. Picture the popular image of a whale-eating behemoth with massive girth and intimidating bulk. Now contrast that with 2024-2025 studies arguing for an elongated lemon shark-like body plan that would revolutionize our understanding of how this predator hunted. Early reconstructions forced Megalodon into the great white shark template, creating the myth of a bulky grey giant that dominated through brute force alone. Scientists assumed that scaling up a great white's proportions would produce an accurate Megalodon model. This approach ignored the physiological constraints that govern large marine predators and the unique evolutionary pressures that shaped Megalodon's actual body plan. Energy cost analysis shows that maintaining white shark scale girth at Megalodon size would have been metabolically impossible for sustained hunting. A bulky 15-meter predator would require enormous caloric intake just to maintain basic metabolic functions. The energy expenditure for swimming digestion and thermoregulation would have exceeded what ocean ecosystems could realistically provide through available prey species. Placoid scale morphology, evidence and swimming mechanics research points toward a more hydrodynamic silhouette optimized for long-distance cruising with powerful burst capabilities. The microscopic skin structures suggest adaptations for reducing drag during extended swimming periods while maintaining the ability to accelerate rapidly during ambush attacks. Regional endothermy, heat retention in key body regions, supported higher metabolic rates and cruising efficiency than cold-blooded sharks of similar size could achieve. This physiological adaptation allowed Megalodon to maintain elevated body temperatures in specific organs while conserving energy in less critical areas. Isotopic data reveals sophisticated physiology that enabled sustained activity in warmer waters while facilitating rapid digestion of enormous meals. This streamlined body plan completely changes our understanding of Megalodon's hunting strategies and ecological role. But the anatomical revelations represent only part of the story. Fossil evidence reveals feeding behaviors that contradict another persistent myth about this ancient predator. The most persistent myth claims Megalodon still lurks in unexplored ocean depths, fueled by sensational documentaries, viral hoaxes, and our fascination with hidden monsters. This fantasy ignores overwhelming scientific evidence that definitively proves extinction. 3 research-backed facts demolish modern survival claims. First fossil record and extinction dating show credible analyses estimate extinction by the early Pliocene, with at least one assessment moving extinction to approximately 3.6 million years ago. Statistical analyses indicate the species disappears from the fossil record millions of years before present. Second, ecological constraints reveal Megalodon preferred warm coastal waters and likely could not survive in cold, nutrient-poor, deep-sea environments, making deep ocean hiding scenarios impossible. Third, the complete absence of modern signals provides no recent bite mark patterns on whales, no modern teeth deposits or carcasses, and no credible sightings or sonar evidence. Pseudo-documentaries often cite anomalous dating claims, particularly HMS Challenger teeth supposedly dated to recent times. These old claims have been re-examined and shown to be unreliable. The 19th century Challenger dating was misinterpreted and later re-evaluated in the literature, with reassessment of those claims in the fossil record, revealing the fresh tooth evidence is explained by unusual preservation or redeposition rather than recent origin. While Hollywood shows Megalodon as a relentless hunter that only attacked living prey, fossil evidence reveals this apex predator was also an opportunistic scavenger that fed on whatever delivered the most calories. Fossil bite marks on whale bones show both active predation and post-mortem feeding, with some displaying crushing damage from live attacks, while others show methodical gnawing patterns from carcass consumption. Isotopic studies reveal chemical signatures placing Megalodon high in the trophic ladder while showing flexible feeding strategies across different life stages. Younger Megalodons showed more scavenging behavior, while adults shifted toward active predation on large cetaceans, demonstrating sophisticated behavioral adaptations that maximize caloric intake through multiple feeding strategies. No credible evidence supports modern survival. The fossil record and modern ecology tell us Megalodon is extinct. But understanding why this giant cannot exist today requires examining the specific environmental conditions that made its ancient dominance possible. Scientists reconstruct Megalodon from abundant, triangular, serrated teeth with slant heights up to 180 millimeters, plus rare vertebral columns like the Belgian specimen and recent placoid scale studies that inform body form and metabolic inferences, including regional endothermy. Bite force estimates scaled from great white analyses place Megalodon's bite around 108,500, 182, 200 newtons, though this represents modeled estimates rather than direct measurements. Convergent evolution explains why similar teeth can mislead reconstructions. Unrelated species independently develop comparable features. Why do deep ocean conditions make modern survival impossible? The cold nutrient, poor deep sea, lacks the warm water prey base and high-calorie food sources this endothermic giant required. Temperatures around 1 degree Celsius and scarce nutrients create an inhospitable environment for large metabolically active predators. The complete absence of fossils over the past 6 million years confirms extinction. Real science reveals a more fascinating predator than Hollywood myths, a streamlined, intelligent hunter-scavenger that dominated ancient oceans through efficiency rather than brute force. Question popular media portrayals of prehistoric life and trust evolving science.